Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Bundesliga Show, European edition, brought to you by Over the Bar, of course. And it's the bit where I usually say with your hosts, X, Y, and Z, but it's just me this week. First ever time that it's just been a one-person show. Unfortunately, we've had a couple of people drop out late due to circumstances and illness. I can't say I'm feeling too chipper either, but really wanted to bring you the show. So obviously we're here, and we're going to go through it and just kind of see how the show goes and how long we can go on for. Just talking to myself. Of course, we are in partnership with Bundesliga Boxes this season. So they are a authentic German football shirt provider that provide a service for you that kind of come in mystery boxes, so you never know what shirt you're going to get. So please do check them out on Twitter or on their new website. Batch 13, I believe, is dropping tomorrow. So do keep an eye out for that. I will be lining up very early to get mine. You can get a number of different shirts, and you can use the website to say what shirts you have or have not had before. So kind of helping you out so you don't get a repeat of something you've already got. Icy ho, and obviously as we're going, this is live. Please drop the video a like, comment along, drop a subscribe as well. Obviously it means a lot to us, the more that we build our fan base. If you are watching live tonight, please do join in the comments. Obviously, I'm on my own, and it'd be great to have a bit of interaction with people as and when you come into the show, whether it's at the start or the end. Just say hi, and we'll take any questions. I'll take any questions that come in, and then we'll kind of go through things. So the format of the show, so the first one that we've done since last season, basically, we'll be covering how all the Bundesliga teams have been getting on in Europe across match days 1 and 2. So we'll start off with the Champions League. We'll go through those four groups, look at all the runners and riders, then the Europa League and the Europa Conference League as well. So without further delay, let's crack on, and we'll kind of do it in chronological order as how the groups are kind of looking at the moment. So first and foremost, let's look at Champions League Group A. So in Group A, very tough group. We have at the moment PSG, City, Germans, Bundesliga representation in the shape of RB Leipzig, and also Club Brugge, who maybe at the start of the draw you may have thought would have been the whipping boys and it would have been out of those three, but that's obviously not been the case so far. So we'll look at the first few matches for RB. Obviously in match day 1, it was a rather humbling 6-3 defeat to Manchester City, who of course at the Etihad are a force to be reckoned with. Positives to take out of it: the fact that Nkunku got a hat trick. He's scored 4 goals in 2 games and has looked really, really sharp. Obviously the very disappointing thing, particularly with with both games actually, has been the way that they've defended. Lots of poor goals that they conceded, including a terrible own goal by Mukiele. I think certainly in the first game, every time that they got themselves back into the game, they would very quickly get themselves out of it and look a bit lost at times. Obviously, their form in the Bundesliga has been very hit and miss, especially if we look at the second game in this group for them at home to Club Brugge. If you look at the shape of the group, that's a must-win game straight away. 1-0 up very early doors, thanks to, as already mentioned, Nkunku, thanks to a VAR check, and all looking very good. But after that, some poor bits of football. So the first goal, the equaliser for Club Brugge, comes from RB trying to play, possession football, trying to play out from the back. Eventually they lose it, and I think it's Van Aken who's able to punish them. That gets them the equaliser, and just before half-time, another cross, not dealt with, falls into the middle of the area, and Ritz is able to smash it home And despite having lots of possession in that second game, they weren't able to find another cutting edge site, bringing on Andre Silva and powers like that. So very disappointing so far from RB Leipzig. So they're currently standing on 0 points from those two games. They're in fourth place behind PSG in first with 4 points. Club Brugge with 4 points as well. Third, City. So RB have already got a mountain to climb ahead of the double-header with PSG. I think it's fair to say that, if they get anything less than 1 win out of 2, they're already out. Whether they're looking at trying to get into the Europa League now, it could be another way of potentially them getting something to win. There's obviously pressure on the manager already in the form of Jesse Marsch. As already mentioned, the league form's been quite sporadic, and I'm not sure he quite knows what his best team is. The fact that the big signing Andre Silva hasn't been as successful as he would have liked is obviously not gone down too well with supporters. I think everyone thought that was a very sensible signing. Hasn't worked out just yet. So that's obviously creating pressure on the manager. So right now you're looking at it and you're saying the two favourites to go through are of course, PSG and City. City, of course, got that double header against Club Brugge. If they win both those games, you'd imagine that they'll go through as the top two with PSG and be fighting out for that top spot for a kind of draw in the knockout phases. So we'll look at that when it comes to it. But yeah, that's all you can say for RB. Very disappointing start indeed. Right, let's move on to Champions League Group C, and that contains Sporting Lisbon, Dortmund, Ajax, and Besiktas. So it looks like a really open group, actually, with what could be quite a lot of exciting games, and there have been a number of exciting games. So Dortmund started with a very solid 2-1 away win in Besiktas. A game that Jude Bellingham ran from start to finish, a goal and an assist to set up Haaland just before half-time. That was 2-0, and they were in control of the game. Should have been more comfortable that game. Missed a few chances to make it 3-4 as well. But again, that kind of defensive fragility came to the fore again with a late goal. It was probably quite lucky that it was late because they looked a bit nervy. Kobel made a number of good saves again, showing his value and still chasing that elusive clean sheet, which did eventually come in the most recent match day 2, which was a 1-0 win over Sporting Lisbon at home at Signal Iduna Park. And yeah, a big confidence boosting clean sheet for Dortmund because they needed that. They looked like a bit more of a settled team with Hummels back in the defence, Witsel playing as part of a holding midfield duo with Dahoud, and they had Royce back importantly as well. But no Haaland, and it was up to Donyell Malen, the new boy, to lead the line, and he got his first goal as well for the club, set up by Bellingham. Very nice finish, actually, very calm and composed. So big for him, big for the club to get those 2 early wins and really set them up for the rest of the campaign. So they have obviously played the 2 teams that are on 0 points. They're joint top with Ajax on 6 points apiece, and they will now play Ajax in two double-header games, which will basically shape, how this group is going to go. Obviously, if Dortmund can get a win and a draw, maybe a draw away in Ajax and win their home game, then they may well be set for a top of the group finish, which would be fantastic. They're obviously will be getting Haaland back at some point. That will only, increase their firepower. It is obviously, with regards to how far they go in the tournament, will be basically based on how well their defence can hold up. But again, with no imminent signings coming, and depending on maybe what they do in January, I mean, you can't really go that far in Europe without having a very, very good defence, and it may well be another quarterfinal and out sort of campaign for Dortmund, but very solid start. That's all you can go off right now. Looks like they'll qualify. I'll back them to finish top of the group. Obviously, if you're watching along, let me know if you disagree with what I'm saying. If you think other teams will come back into it, by all means, do just give me a shout, and we'll see what other people think. So let's move on to the third group containing a Bundesliga team, and that's Group E in the Champions League, and that is Bayern Munich. So they're in with Barcelona, Benfica, and Dynamo Kyiv. Needless to say that Bayern are 2 from 2. They absolutely tore Barcelona a new one in a very flattering 3-0 scoreline, actually, which Barcelona didn't even register a shot on target all game. So, yeah, completely dominant display. Oh, excuse me. I think they basically, dominated from start to finish in the group where the two headline names are Bayern and Barca. You expect them to be the kind of headline games, and it was just one kind of routine win basically for Bayern. They look, so impressive. Their pressure game was particularly impressive. They, won a lot of balls high up the pitch, which was really really impressive. Barcelona didn't really know how to handle that. Obviously, it's not the same Barcelona team that we've seen down the years. Of course, the club in general in an absolute mess like we saw in match week 2 as they succumbed another 3-0 defeat to Benfica this time. So who's to say where Barcelona will even come in this group right now? But we're concentrating on Bayern, and they added another 5 goals to the 3 they already had in matchday 2 in a dismantling of Dynamo Kyiv. Lewandowski to the 4, another brace, penalty and again on the end of the Muller pass. Sane scoring a cross, and of course a late, as per usual, goal for Choupo-Moting. They look like right now for me, again, without maybe jumping the gun too much, the favourites to win the competition. Again, this is purely based off, obviously, a review of match days 1 and 2. There are, of course, some really strong teams out there, particularly on the English front. But right now, they look like they've got everything stacked. They're starting to notch up a few more clean sheets, particularly in Europe, which has always been a bit of an issue in the last year and a half. They've obviously addressed the centre-back area in the shape of Upamecano, and he's still settling in, as is the head coach. But so far, so good for Bayern in the Champions League. Looks like it's going to be plain sailing, although it's going to be a tough double header against Benfica, particularly away from home. But even if they win 1 out of 2 of those games, they should have enough to go through quite comfortably, and I expect them to top the group. So I think that's fairly clear cut for now. And then moving on to the last group in the Champions League, that has Bundesliga representation, and it is indeed Wolfsburg, who I'm sporting this evening. Lovely shirts that they always come out with. Big fan of that. And so, of course, we're supporting them in the Champions League as well. So they're in a group, another open group with Sevilla, Lille, RB Salzburg. So, yeah, very interesting looking group. And it's been obviously kind of typical Wolfsburg so far in all their games that we've seen how they play in the Bundesliga. So the first game was a 0-0 draw with Lille. That was quite a fortuitous draw, I have to admit. It included quite a lot of help from VAR and a red card for Jonathan Brooks. They only had 2 shots all game, and that was opposed to Lille 17. Jonathan David had a goal disallowed by VAR as the ball already gone out of play earlier for a throw-in. Brooks, silly yellow card in the second half, a handball. A man of his experience shouldn't be doing that, whether it's in the Bundesliga or the Champions League. That really didn't help his team. And then, it looked like Lille were going to get a penalty with the last kick of the game and potentially win it. But VAR overruled it to being outside the box. And they got away with it. Castile's in net, superb. Did a really good job for his team, as he always does. Sort of solid 0-0 draw away from home. It's all he can really kind of ask for in the first game. Particularly, this has been the first time back in the Champions League for a while for them. And then just recently, match day 2, 1-1 draw with Sevilla at home, but this time they were undone by VAR, a mixture of VAR and terrible refereeing, really. It was so they were 1-0 up for quite a while. Stefan had put them 1-0 up after a bit of a melee in the box. They looked quite comfortable, an even game, but they were defending well and looked like they were heading for an very important win at home until the referee gave a mysterious penalty and a second yellow card for Gulavugi after kind of a bit of a goalmouth scramble. It looked like it was just kind of a clearance, which his follow through hit the opposition player in the box, which went down. And then Rakitic stepped up to score, and that made it 1-1. So that's obviously a huge blow for Wolfsburg. Puts them currently in third place in their group on 2 points, just behind Sevilla on goal difference, I presume. They've got 2 points, and Salzburg have got 4. Lille have got 1 at the bottom of the group. So obviously there's a double header for Wolfsburg coming up against RB Salzburg, who look like a very strong team. They've always done quite well in the Champions League in the last few kind of outings. So that will be tough for them. If they can target getting 3 points out of 6 from that, set themselves up for a home game against Lille, and then maybe get a draw in Sevilla, it might be enough to scramble through. I think if they get through in second place, it'd be a ginormous achievement for them. The way that they're set up to play is always going to be try and keep as much of the ball as you can, be methodical, be hard to beat, and then maybe try and get forward and nick a goal or two, obviously via Weghorst or anyone else like that. It will be a test of their squad as well. They've signed well and they signed smartly, but they've not gone for any high class kind of noticeable signings. The main thing that they've done is kept all their better players, really. So they've got a decent sized squad. So I'm excited to see how this Wolfsburg team can go. Particularly given the fact that they've come fresh into this after a long while. I think they'll really want to give it a good go, even despite the fact that they've had a really good start to the Bundesliga as well. So it'd be tough to juggle that, I'm sure. But so far so good from Wolfsburg. All you can say is you're unbeaten so far in 2 games, and go into that double header with Salzburg with real confidence and have a go at them, and hopefully they'll get through that. Evening, Paul. Thanks very much for dropping in. Glad you're enjoying the show. So that pretty much rounds up the Bundesliga interest so far in the Champions League. What we'll do is I'll just do a quick best of the rest. So what we've seen so far in the Champions League in terms of the other groups. So there are quite a lot of exciting groups. So, for example, Group B, Liverpool's group. So we've got Liverpool, Atletico Madrid, Porto, and Milan, AC Milan, that is. That's a stacked group, and AC Milan are bottom of that group despite playing 2 really good games. Liverpool looks strong, scoring goals. So they're in a great position right now. But it'll be really interesting to see how they go against Atletico. Of course, who haunted them in the knockout stages. I think it was last season, actually. So that'll be a really good one. So far in Group D, we've seen the newcomers Sheriff Tiraspol do the unthinkable. They won their first game, and then they went to Real Madrid and beat them amazingly. What a result that was. It's a bit of a kind of brick in the face to the Super League kind of idea. I say that as a Man United fan. We've been shocked by a number of teams recently, so yeah, I'm kind of glad that happened for sure. So are Real Madrid going to progress? They're in second place with 3 points still, but they've got Inter Milan still hot on their heels. Who knows what's going to happen? That group really open now. Of course, looking at Group F, my own boys, Man United, rather fortuitously got over the line last night. Huge result for United in terms of staying in that group in contention. On paper, for those of you, if you're a Man United fan, you'd probably say that was quite a kind draw to us, considering who we could have got. But it just goes to show that all those kind of games in the Champions League are rarely given to you. Obviously, the young boys game, for example, but has turned on a red card. Double header against Atalanta, anything could happen. I'm led to believe Atalanta are quite a unpredictable team, to say the least. They'll go forward and score goals. Could fall into the hands of United quite well if they get their act together and get a few more defenders back fit, Maguire and Shaw and Wan-Bissaka from suspension. So fingers crossed. In a couple of shows' time, we'll be talking about Man United going through. But yeah, that remains to be seen with my boys. And finally, Group H, Juve and Chelsea look fairly set in this group, despite Chelsea losing to Juve the other night. So right now, strongest teams for me, like I said, Bayern, Liverpool looking good. And from there on in, you can say there's a number of other teams that are about on par with each other, I would say. So yeah, really interesting stuff. Right, what we'll do is we'll just move on to the Europa League and cover the German interest in there as well. So let's start off in Group D. So we've got Olympiacos, Fenerbahce, Eintracht Frankfurt, easy for me to say, and Antwerp. So in terms of the draw, Frankfurt, there's a couple of, well-known teams in there. So it was never going to be easy for them. I think obviously, particularly the sticky start that they've had to the campaign, it's not necessarily gone to plan. Been lots of draws, although at least they haven't been losing games. Having to replace Andre Silva has been particularly tricky for them. But in the context of the game so far, they've had, so obviously a 1-1 draw with Fenerbahce in Matchday 1, where Sam Lammers, one of the strikers they bought, got off the mark for the club. So that was particularly important, being set up as per usual by Kostic, who's come back into the club after a bit of a fallout with regards to a potential transfer that didn't happen. He's now playing his best football again, which is really important. Lammers also did have a goal chalked off for offside in that game, as well as Trapp conceding a penalty, but then saving it on the rebound. They scored the rebound, but VAR disallowed it because of encroachment. So it was far from an incident-free first game for Frankfurt, but they got away in the end with a 1-1 draw. So at least they're off to a good start. And then only hours ago, they managed to pull off a really, really important 1-0 win, actually, away to Antwerp, who are now bottom of the group, thanks to a late penalty by Pacienza, if I'm saying that name right. He rarely gets a game for Frankfurt. So, not 90th minute penalty, I think it was. So that, in terms of the group, puts them in second place behind Olympiacos, who they'll now play in a double header for the next couple of games, obviously against the Greek side, very well-known team. They've got 2 wins out of 2 and are looking quite strong. So again, Frankfurt will have to put their, the best foot forward. Maybe they can use Europe as a way of gaining a bit of confidence with regards to their Bundesliga form, because again, they've been drawing a lot of games. I think they're winless actually in the Bundesliga, if memory serves correctly. So yeah, good start in the end from the first few games for Frankfurt. Obviously haven't been able to use their rotation a bit more, will be interesting. They started with Bore and Lammers up front in today's game. Maybe that's a way of going forward and using wing backs. I think Hrustic started in the cam role, but that's somewhere where I'd love to see Kamada when he gets back to playing his best football. And with with Kostic and all their other kind of exciting players, Eunice, if he comes back to form, they'll be a tough outfit in this Europa League. But if they can progress right now, I'd back them to come second at least. That would be very impressive for them. So let's see how they get on, and then let's just move on to Group G. That's got quite a lot of again well-known teams in the Europa League. So we've got Leverkusen from Bundesliga point of view, and then we've got Celtic and Real Betis, another very capable Spanish side, and Ferencvaros. So Leverkusen, match day one. So for them, they got a very important comeback win over Ferencvaros. They were 1-0 down early on, but not before. Just before half time, they got level via Palacios from another Frimpong assist. He's really settling into his football with Leverkusen. Obviously signed from Celtic, so I wonder if he'll be playing against them as they should be playing right now. I don't have the scores on the boards right now. I'll have to double check that in a moment, see how they're getting on. Probably be half time. So we'll have to see what happens in that first game. But yeah, certainly in the second game. But yeah, and then Vert's got on the end of another Frimpong pass to finish well. Those two have been linking up really well. They linked up for the winner against Mainz at the weekend as well. So he's been getting forward to great effect as Leverkusen start to settle into some nice form. Obviously, saying that, they could be losing 3-0 for all I know. So I will have to double check that. And then, yeah, a very interesting doubleheader for them to come against Real Betis. Like I said, they've got quite a bit of talent in their side. And, from a Spanish point of view, it's a shame we haven't got Paul on the show to, talk further about them and all the other Spanish teams, really, because who knows what sort of threat they might be able to propose. But yeah, at the moment, Leverkusen in that group, if they get their other win against Ferencvaros and manage to get some points off Betis, they'd probably be looking good. So we'll have to see how they go. In terms of the names that you throw out there in the Europa League, if we kind of look again at the best of the rest in this competition, we've got quite a lot of big hitters. There's Lyon in there who have gone 2 from 2. They could do, quite well. The likes of Napoli and Leicester in the same group, but Leicester obviously lost earlier on to Legia Warsaw, so they're now struggling. Napoli also lost, I think, by the looks of it. So that's a real surprise early on. And trying to look at some of the other groups that we've got going on in terms of big hitters. To be fair, that's about it, really. West Ham looked really good their first game, but they've not got huge amount of European experience of late. So Leverkusen have got a great shot. Obviously, it all depends on some of the big hitters that come down from the Champions League. So it'll be really interesting to see how they get on. They could target it as a bit of silverware for Gerard Seoane in his first season in charge. So we'll just quickly cover the Europa Conference League, and of course, Bundesliga's only representation is in the shape of Union Berlin, their first go at this competition, and indeed first run in Europe for I think a long while, if not their first ever. So they'll be looking forward to this greatly. In there with quite a lot of big teams actually for the Conference League. I'd say this is probably the premier group. So you've got Feyenoord, obviously a very big name associated with Dutch football, Slavia Praha, and of course Maccabi Haifa. So very well-known teams. And again, I can only go off match day one with Union, as they're playing their second game right now as I speak against Maccabi Haifa. So match day one, they lost 3-1 to Slavia Prague. They were down early on, unfortunately after about 20 minutes, and then a second yellow card for one of their defenders, I think. Again, I'm not going to even try the pronunciation on that one because I'll get it terribly wrong. But basically, they were down to 10 men early doors, and after half time, they were looking at a disappointing defeat. But they've got great character, and substitute Geraldo Becker and Kevin Berend, I think his first name is, they combined on the break to get a really excellent equaliser, actually, with 20 minutes to go. But unfortunately, with luck not on their side, a deflected long-range effort fell into the striker's path for Slavia, and they went 2-1 up, and then they scored again, late on to make it 3-1. So, again, if we just look at the best of the rest in the Conference League, again, there are probably two names that really stand out in the shape of Roma, who have won both their opening games, scoring 8 goals and only conceding 1. So they look really strong. And again, I would say that the other big name is Spurs. Obviously, they drew their first game with Rennes, who are a really good side, actually. But I think, if I'm not mistaken, they were 2-0 up and cruising at the start of their second game. So I presume they'll be able to win that and kind of push on from there. So they're the two names you're looking to. But again, I think the structure of the competition will have a drop down of Europa League teams going into that. So we could get some bigger names going into that competition. Obviously, we'll have to see what happens with that. But Union, obviously, it really depends on if they can get a couple of wins in the next few games. But realistically, they're up against it. But having said that, the way they played throughout the season and last season, got great character. They've added to their squad. They've got a bit more depth so that they can cope with the Thursday, Sunday format right now, which they won't be used to. But hopefully they can push on, get a few wins. And the main thing is obviously for their traveling support to, get over if they can to, some different countries, soak up the atmosphere, and have a really good time. And, you never know where that can take you, basically. So that is that for the basic kind of level of our show. Fortunately, we've not really been able to cover much else on the show, and we haven't had the give and go of chat and people disagreeing with each other or giving each other a bit of banter, perhaps because supporting certain teams. But hopefully you've enjoyed watching the show tonight. Basically, if you like what you see, do let us know. Drop us a comment. Give the video a bit of a like, and if you haven't already, please do subscribe if you're new to the channel, or if you just haven't done it yet, click that red button and make sure you don't miss out on any content that we, the Bundesliga Show, produce. So this show's kind of come in instead of the prediction show. So what we'll do is we'll tweet out mine and Mark's predictions for this weekend coming. Obviously, another big weekend of Bundesliga action to come. If you haven't already, of course, check out the League One show, check out the League Two show as well. 2 excellent shows that we have on the channel as well. I'm sure many of you have already checked that out, so please do so. And then if you're new to Over the Bar and just stumbled across it, of course, they are on Twitter. So just find them at Over the Bar FB and at Over the Bar Extra as a bit of a point to where all the articles that are delivered by Over the Bar come from. And of course, you can find all those articles on www.otbfootball.net. And again, the YouTube channel, Over the Bar FB. That's the link. Obviously, if you're watching, you'd have found it before. So again, like I said, please do subscribe and get involved. Drop us a comment if you think you would like any more content or different shows. Please do let us know. But that's it for this evening's show. I've whittled on for as long as I can do, gone over half an hour, so I think that'll probably do. My voice will probably go soon anyway. So hope you all enjoyed the show, and we'll catch you on Monday for our usual review show. So thanks all for watching. Cheers. See you later.